Hello everyone, welcome back to Statesman.com and another edition of the High School Blitz. We are entering round 3 of the playoffs, and we're going to start out at San Antonio's Ferris Stadium. We have Thorndale versus Refugio. Who are you guys taking in this one?
You know, these two teams, they've combined for 4 shutouts this season, but I think you're kidding yourself if you think this is going to be a defensive showdown. Lots of offensive talent. I think this is going to be a matchup between Thorndale wide receiver Colton Austin, Refugio running back Isaiah Perez, 55 touchdowns between the two of them. I do think Refugio gets this win, though. They have a little bit too much firepower as they've displayed over the past 5 years. A lot of people will remember that name because of some of the high-scoring hijinks they had over the past couple seasons. But I think this game's going to be a shootout, and I think Refugio moves on.
I agree. I think Refugio's got too much firepower. Like you said, they average 50 points a game. Defensively, they only give up 11 points a game, which I thought was kind of ironic for a team that just loves to run up the score. But they only run it up on their side. They're actually pretty good on defense. So I like Refugio by a couple touchdowns.
All right, well, let's keep it in San Antonio, heading over to Heroes Stadium. Also on Friday at 7:30, Cedar Park advanced, and now they play Mission Sharyland. Who wins this one?
Well, I like Cedar Park just because I think Cedar Park, before the season, was the best in the area.
Right.
They had a lull at the beginning, and then they've come on strong. One thing that I thought is interesting about Cedar Park is they've got 10 players on their team that have rushed for a total of 100 yards this year. So they've got a lot of wealth, starting with the Hutchings brothers. They've been fantastic all year, and just think they got too much. But I will say this about Sharyland. 3 straight shutouts, 2 in the playoffs, obviously. Yeah. They're playing really well right now defensively. I just think Cedar Park's too much for them.
Yeah. Speaking about that depth, Cedar Park has actually had 6 different players score in the playoffs. And if you want to throw out the Reagan game, they had 6 different people score in the Burning Champion game last week that me and Tony were both at. I think the biggest thing going for Cedar Park is the intangible sections. You were at the game last year when they lost in the 3rd round to Port Lavaca Calhoun. That's not really acceptable by Cedar Park standards. The kids know it. After the game last week, they were all just talking about, hey, we remember last year. We want to right that wrong, and I don't think they're going to take Mission Sharyland for granted. And I think Cedar Park's going to win this one, and I think it's going to be convincing.
All right. Now we move on to Saturday, but we're still in San Antonio at another stadium, Alamo Stadium, where Liberty Hill takes on Rockport Fulton at 1 o'clock. Who gets the win in that one?
I like Liberty Hill. They've been rolling lately, but they don't have much of a game plan, so I don't have to tell the Rockport people what's going to happen. Liberty Hill averages 383 yards rushing per game. They average 21 yards passing per game. They're going to run. There are games where they don't even throw a pass, but they're too strong. Jerry Vance is a fantastic game day coach. I like Liberty Hill.
John Shannon, their junior running back, has 1,700 rushing yards, 25 touchdowns, had 240 yards last week against Gonzales, a game Liberty Hill won 45-27. They didn't actually pass the ball once in that game. So going back to your scouting report, I mentioned Gonzales because Gonzales actually recorded a 28-point win over this Rockport Fulton team earlier in the season, and it is a little dangerous sometimes to play them when they beat them so he can beat them. But I think when you have 2 20-point games in there, you can kind of do the math, and I think this bodes well for Liberty Hill. And if they win and Burnett win, that sets up a very fun quarterfinal matchup next week.
All right. And last but not least, we move a little bit closer to Austin. We're in San Marcos at Rattler Stadium. LBJ versus Victoria West at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Who wins that game?
I'm fortunate. I'm going to that game. I think I'm going to jump on the LBJ bandwagon. I never thought they'd win 2 playoff games. But they did it last week with defense. 2 defensive touchdowns is the reason that they advanced, and the steady play of Avery Jackson at quarterback. He's been steady all year. He's one of those players that we never talk about hardly. But I'll say this. I have to read this. Gamarquis Gurdy. That's a name that you've never heard of. I'd never heard of until just a little while ago. 644 yards in 2 playoff games. So if I'm the LBJ defense, I'm watching that guy every move he makes.
You don't know if this is these Jaguars are just riding on emotion with everything they've gone through the last couple weeks, or if a lot of this is talent. I mean, they have a great defense that's been overlooked the entire season. They forced 8 turnovers in the playoffs. Like Rick said, they scored twice last week against Alamo Heights. They've actually scored 6 defensive touchdowns this year with Ashton Williams, Johnny Williams, Robert Satterwhite, a lot of talent on that defense. And the offense, you got Avery Jackson, Zay Giles, his stepbrother, going both ways. DeAndre Witaski, we haven't mentioned his name since the beginning of the season. He's an explosive talent back there. So LBJ hasn't been in this round since 2007, lost a heartbreaker back then in overtime to the team that eventually won the state championship. I don't think LBJ fans are going to be that depressed after this week. I think they win and move on to the quarterfinals.
All right, and those are our picks for this week. Check back in at statesman.com to see results and more.